This is Nicola Bulley. For anyone who has not heard of the Nicola Bulley case, it is out of Lancashire on St. Michael's on the Wire when Nicola Bulley had disappeared on January 27th. Hi, my name is Sunny Justice, and we're going to dive in to the Nicola Bulley case. So in this particular video, we're going to discuss if Nicola Bulley perhaps was a floater. So I was talking with this friend of mine who does search and recovery. Basically, their scuba dive team, deals with old cases and tries to help find the missing bodies of these families. You know, that perhaps their vehicle went off the road. Either way, they're a water search scuba diving team. And so I was explaining to him about the Nicola Bulley case. And basically that, the police believe that based in front of this bench that Nicola Bulley just had an accident and fell in. And of course, I'm going to tell you what he said in just a second. So he used the term floater. So, of course, I was like, okay, well, what's a floater exactly? He did go on to explain. So before we start into that, basically, I had let my friend know that there was this mother of two that drops off her friends off at school and then takes her dog Willow to the dog park, and that at 9:33 a passerby had found her phone logged into a Teams call and the dog wandering around. They believe that she had fallen into the water and had an accident. I told him that there was no slip marks, no signs to show it, and it's about 2 feet deep and the middle is about 13 feet deep. Yet the expert diver, meaning Peter Falding, said she should have been right there in the area. But they couldn't find her. With all the expensive sonar equipment, nothing. They searched and there was still nothing. 3 weeks later, a medium finds her in the spot that I circled red, which I showed him the picture. But the medium said that she was a floater for about a quarter of a mile before she actually came to her final resting spot. So he, of course, said, well, first off, I don't believe in mediums. And then he said, there's 2 float cycles, sometimes even 3, depending on the water conditions. So I said, well, it was a cold morning. And he said, a body will float underwater for a period of time. After about a week to 2 in 50 plus water degrees. The body will surface once for about 24 hours and then it will sink again. So I proceeded to tell him that she was dressed in a big puffer jacket, knee length as well. And then he had said that in about a month, her body will become buoyant again. So I said, how did the sonar in that small river not pick her up? And then he said, you can have the most expensive sonars out there, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you will never find her. He said that there's a good chance that she probably did die there, but she's not going to stay there. Especially with the gases still in her body, she would float, not necessarily above water, but she's just not going to fall to the bottom. Plus, her outfit was floaty. Not sure, just depends on the currents, I guess. It's a one-way current with anything, just the float time of that speed of current. So we all know that obviously the water, for the most part, it wasn't moving very fast. Mind you, underneath, I remember them saying, could be a little bit faster of a current. So he said, so I showed him a picture of the jacket and Nicola Bulley. And then he had just said, yes, definitely floaty. So he said, with her body sinking, she could have been hovering above the floor surface and could have drifted a half a mile or so. Okay, guys, so just quickly, the footage above there is John from Crime Scene to Courtroom, so check out his channel, of course, in the link of the description of this video, just to give you guys that visual of the water, although this is higher because this was just done, you know, about a week or so ago. But that water could be very tricky sometimes. He said, if she floated during the night and no one noticed, then obviously no disrespect to law enforcement, but you can have the best equipment, but if you don't know how to manipulate it, it's just a paperweight. Lack of knowledge on sonar is what I would blame it on. Or she never drowned and someone planted her there afterwards. You can die in 1 teaspoon of water in the right conditions, in which case I looked that up and it was true. If it gets in the lungs, you know, or medical conditions. He as well said, well, maybe she was drunk, or maybe someone hit her on the head with a rock. That there's so many different speculations. He said, maybe the person on the team's call, maybe somebody else could hear. But I had already let him know that, according to the boss, you know, that nobody else could hear the phone conversation, obviously around the boss, because Nicola Bulley had the phone on mute and no camera as she was, you know, supposedly walking around with it in front of her. So I said, yes, they asked her boss, and from 9:10 was the last witness in the upper field that saw her. At 9:20, the phone made its way to the bench. At 9:33, that a dog walker spotted her phone on the bench. Her Fitbit wasn't synced, so it's a small time frame. Anyways, it's doing my head in. It's like a perfect storm has happened. No clothes floated, no mark on the grass, no signs of her at all. Nothing, just a dog and a phone. And he said, well, you're probably not going to see a mark. She's not a vehicle. And I, sent him a picture of the area. And he said she looked like she was about 5 foot, 100 pounds. And I said, slipping mark, you don't think? And he said, not if she physically jumped. My thought was, I said, that she tripped over her dog's leash. He said, possibly. But how big was her dog? Then I showed him a picture of Nicola Bulley's dog, Willow, and said, you're giving me food for thought. And he goes, looks at the dog, and he says, yeah, that dog wouldn't pull her in then. And so, pretty much, that's all he could say. So although my friend didn't know too much about the story besides the information I had given him, and because of the fact that he is a search and rescue diver that is helping find people's bodies from cold cases all the time, and I really respect his advice and opinions. So that's why I wanted to check with him and ask him what his thoughts are. It really gave me food for thought when he said, well, maybe she was a floater, which meant that she's not floating to the top and she's not touching the bottom, but because of the clothes that she has on, she's kind of just floating in the water there, but not to the top of the surface. So I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are about this whole thing. And, I just wanted to share this conversation with you that I had and see if it gave you guys a little bit of food for thought as well. Now, we know that the water wasn't moving very fast on the top, but we also know that it was said that underneath it could be moving, faster. And if she has puffy clothes on, then obviously, and she becomes deemed as a floater. My problem, of course, will always be, how did they miss her? If indeed she was in that water before the date she was found.
For 13 days, Nicola Bulley's family have been desperate for answers that so far no one can give. A private search team has been helping the police this week and today took the missing woman's partner to the riverbank where her phone was found to explain that after 3 days of intensive searching of this part of the river, they have found nothing and are now calling off their search.
I said that if Nicola's here, I'll find her. If Nicola was in that river, I would have found her. I can guarantee you that. She wouldn't have, we would have found her, and she's not there in that section of the river up there. In my personal view, getting carried out to the sea, I think it's a long way to go in a tidal river, a tide that goes out, a tide that comes in. I would have thought that she would have surfaced by now and been found by dog walkers. That's my honest opinion. I'm totally baffled by this one, to be honest.
Nicola's family had hoped this specialist team could provide some clue as to what happened on the day she disappeared whilst walking her dog after dropping her daughters off to school.
Specialist dive teams from Lancashire Police have continued their work today, searching kilometres of the River Wyre. We understand that this will continue, looking for any shred of evidence, any indication, any fact that might try and answer that question: what happened to Nicola Bulley on Friday the 27th of January?
Thank you guys for watching this video. Of course, please leave your comments in the comment section of this video. Again, thanks to John from Crime Scene to Courtroom for the footage that he had when he went over to St. Michael's on the Wire, and appreciate that very much. Please give this video a like and a share, and if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing.